What is the future of NFT art? Is it going to be that by the end of next year, everything is going to go to dust? Or actually, do we have a really bright future ahead of us? If these have been playing on your mind and you've got questions about this, don't worry, we've got you, because we're going to be deep diving into them right now. What we're going to concentrate on today is NFT art. We have those kind of one-on-one NFTs, and then we have the utility NFTs. And what you and I are going to talk about today is kind of what the future for all of this is, what our predictions are, and and is there a future in it? I wanted to kick off by actually defining these different types of NFTs, right? Because anyone that's new to the NFT world might not completely know what we talk about when we talk about utility NFTs versus art NFTs and what those differences are.
Okay, so first of all, I would say I wouldn't call them art NFTs and utility NFTs. I would say definitely you have your art NFTs, and these are NFTs made by pure artists. It's the value is the value of the work itself. An example of this would be Beeple. Everybody's heard of Beeple. Kidmograph, Nest Graphics, Trevor Jones,
Damien Hirst.
These guys are all Damien Hirst. Yeah, sure. Xcopy. These guys, there's no utility behind their NFTs besides the actual art itself, the value there, the scarcity and the desirability of it. And, I think this is an area that is going to continue to hold value in the long term, despite the market ups and downs, because again, the value is with the creator and the artist itself. Another area of NFTs I think we could classify would be the profile pictures or the animal avatar profile pictures.
Or a PFP, as you may have seen it on Twitter. You might not know
absolutely.
What that means. Yeah.
Right. The PFP, the APFP projects, AAPFP projects. The progenitor of this, I would say that actually the earliest progenitor of this that we all know right now would be the CryptoPunks. Now, the CryptoPunks are one of those old projects, a couple years old. They were actually released for free, and they kind of experienced a renaissance in the last year, where they started to pick up in value and desirability. And if you had the prescience to pick one up, you're doing really well right now. But that was a collection of randomly generated avatars, and people use those as a profile picture. And so following that, you have the Bored Ape Yacht Club. Now, the Bored Ape Yacht Club really created the prototype or the standard for this phenomenon that we're seeing today. And that is the 2D color picture of an animal with a variety of traits with different rarities and stuff like that. What's happened with Bored Ape Yacht Club is really interesting because the utility, when we're talking about utility, the utility is the club. It's a club membership. It was started as a way for, holders to network with each other. And out of this club, we have seen, tremendous projects come out that have actually continued to do well in the space. And, so the value of holding a Bored Ape outside of the prestige of having one now is in the connections and the relationships that you can make within the club. Of course, now they have announced a token coming out Q1 of 2022, and that's really exciting. We'll be watching closely to see what kind of utility that has. And the Bored Apes are also holding a yacht party. At the end of this month in October, I'm planning on attending, and so that should be pretty cool.
Let's just be clear. You're in the club, aren't you?
I'm in the club. Yeah, I have a mutant ape. I don't have one of the original Bored Apes. Not buying one is probably going to keep me up at night for the rest of my life. But we'll talk about this later, I guess, where the trends are going. But I wanted to make sure that I had a piece of probably one of the strongest blue chip projects in the space. All of these other profile picture collections could go to dust, but the Bored Apes will survive all of this. It's already a massive global brand. They've raised hundreds of millions of dollars in secondary sales fees and otherwise, and so they're not going anywhere. And then so after the Bored Apes, we have kind of imitators. What's kind of happened is these collections have been launching. I guess you would consider them to be collectibles, right? Because people want you to collect pieces of the collection. What's really going on is they're raising funds for a project. And so what we have now are roadmaps or promised utility be it a game or staking or passive income or a innovative scrap NFT creation system. They have a project, something behind it. And so you can't just look at the art at face value anymore, because so many of these things are popping up. Let's be honest here. If you sell out an 8,000 or a 10,000 avatar project, okay, and you're charging even 0.05, you're raising millions of dollars.
And let's just take it back to kind of like the gold standard that is the Bored Ape. The reason why we say that this is like the gold standard is when anyone now buys into any project out there, they say they've aped in. It's like becoming like, it's like Google, like I've Googled it. It's because that's how like important their stature is within the NFT community. And that's why it's got the staying power.
I see the long-term value. Look, there's only 10,000 apes and I think 20,000 mutant apes in the whole world. That's all there will ever be. Okay. The members of the Bored Ape Yacht Club and the Mutant Ape Yacht Club already have notable celebrities, notable thinkers, public figures in the space. It's already becoming a who's who of networking connections. And, people talk about community in the NFT space so often, right? Well, and the value behind these projects being the community. Well, I wanted to buy into the most valuable community that I could.
When I say like it's the gold standard, it's like I look for certain ape qualities in any project that I ape into now. So I was just talking to you offline about how I've just aped into the Bubblegum Kids. Right now, the Bubblegum Kids, the team behind it are apes. Right. So there's linear, that line of kind of like, okay, that's a good solid team. Because, when you're buying into, anyone can write a roadmap, anyone can kind of say what they're going to do, but you have to kind of do your own research and have that additional trust into it. And I'm looking for that next Cool Cats, that next, apes, that next Dead Fellas, something like that, that's going to have that solid team behind it and community and direction for the future that's going to last. Because when we're talking about this future of NFTs, I've heard Gary Vee say it, I've heard lots of influencers in the space say it, we're on a run right now. We might be on a bull run right now. And actually there is every opportunity that a lot of these are not going to survive.
Did you ever watch Game of Thrones? Ned Stark has my favorite line: winter is coming. It's coming eventually. And I think it's important to keep that in the back of your mind with the NFT space and the crypto and this kind of bull run that we're on, is that, at some point it will pull back. Winter will come to the market, and you don't want to be left holding a bunch of bags that you really didn't like to begin with. Everybody's looking for the next Bored Apes, the next Cool Cats. But in my honest, most sincere opinion, there is no such thing. People have been looking for the next Bitcoin. People have been looking for the next Ethereum, but they still remain on top. Why? Because sometimes these titans become so big that they eclipse all their competitors. And so I'm not saying that there isn't value in the other profile picture projects. However, they have to do something different to stand out on their own merits. They can't just copy the patterns and rhythms of the successful ones and hope to achieve the same results. And to that end, there will only be one Bored Ape Yacht Club. That has kind of become the pinnacle of what it means to be in this space. And I think that it's wishful thinking to think that, you'll be lucky enough to mint one of these now thousands of projects, and see it have the same success as the Bored Ape Yacht Club. Bored Apes created the trend, and that just means that they will always be on top. I just want to make one thing really clear, really quickly, is that the fine art world is not all one of ones. There's lots of artists that do multiple editions, open editions, or maybe they'll make an edition of 15 or 20. What I find particularly cool about that is, in my mind, they're all the original. They're all made at the same time, and they're serialized. And so it's not like in the regular world, you have the original and then you have prints, right? I think that when you have a work that has an edition size of 100, it's 100 originals, you know what I mean? And they're all just serialized from 1 to 100. And that's kind of cool.
And also let's look at the accessibility of that as well. So let's look at Damien Hirst very quickly.
Sure.
You and I would never be able to have bought a Damien Hirst off the wall at a gallery, because its value is exponentially up there. But what he did with NFTs was suddenly make it accessible at the time. If you'd have bought a mint,
right at the time, right? It's not so accessible anymore, is it?
Yeah, exactly. But that allowed a new secondary audience to come in and enjoy his work in a completely different way. And that, you know, for me, again, you know, we all kind of wishful thinking of time gone by, but it's that kind of thing. So if there is an artist out there that you believe in, you think, you know, has already got a community and traction and everything like that, and you love their work, support them, buy into that. You know, yes, it might go up in value in the future, but actually that's something, you're part of that whole journey of loving that art. And I think that's really, really
Absolutely.
important.
And that's where we get into the realm of like blue chip artists. You know, there are artists with really large Instagram followings, you know, like 250,000 Instagram followers, like my friend Annabelle Sikanolfi, you know, and he creates these really amazing futuristic cityscapes that he renders with 3D graphics. I've never seen anything like it. The depth, the level of detail and quality, you know. I think this guy is going to be a Picasso. His works are already selling for, he's got a 1 of 1 for sale on Super Rare right now. I think the bid is 11 ETH. Okay. With a following like that and his work already fetching sums like that, I can think this guy's young. He's got another 50 years ahead of him. It's a no-brainer that his work will be a good investment. What the NFT market does is it brings liquidity. It brings all the stuff together. You know, I have some cool artwork in my house. I think some of it might even be valuable. But even if I knew that this piece of art on my wall was worth $5,000, right? If I wanted to sell it, I would have no idea where to go, who to contact, and how to do that. Okay. I'm not attached to the market. And so what OpenSea does and what all of these platforms that bring NFTs do is that they create a market that has liquidity. So anybody who's searching for art can go to this place, and you know, this is where things are being bought and sold. And I think that a lot of people don't understand like why it's so impactful for the artist in a third world country or even anywhere in the world, you know, because from their own home they can enter the market and have a fair chance at competing and getting a market share based off of the quality of their art. And then also there's the programmable royalties, so that if you're a beginning artist starting their collection, you're starting completely in the digital world, right? Well, hopefully after a lifetime of doing that, you know, you'll be able to live completely off of the secondary royalties of your sales, which is something that up until this point has been completely unable to do. So when we talk about a bear cycle and when we talk about a winter, I want to tell you and tell anybody who's watching this that the innovation, the economic freedom that NFTs bring to the participating people is unparalleled. It's unheard of. So even if we go through a winter, you know, are people going to stop buying art? Have people ever stopped investing in art? You know, it doesn't happen. Art is almost as integral to our humanity as music. NFTs might go through a bear cycle. And so when we talk about these profile picture projects, right, I encourage you to look at the ones with legs, the ones that are really trying to do something. You know, what you're doing is you're funding a company. And what is this company going to do? And what kind of rewards are they going to return to the people who are buying into it, funding their dream? When the winter does come, nobody's going to care if you have rarest mutant racer elf uncle chicken bob sword fighter. Okay, nobody's going to care, right? It's the rarest one. Nobody cares. Nobody's ever heard of that. There's 10,000 collections out there now. You know, go ahead.
Let's look at some of those kind of examples of great utility that may well last. Okay, because that's what you should be looking out for. So for me, I've talked many times on this channel about my passion for the project that is, or the mission that is, the Boss Beauties NFT. I don't know if you
right. Yeah.
I interviewed Lisa very early into this pre-mint, interviewed her about the summit, understood more about what the mission is, but also her longevity in the space of empowering women and what her reputation was for a good 10 years before they even decided to get in on the idea of NFTs. So for me, the future of that was bright. But within the utilities, right, there was already a historic moment that was happening within that NFT. They were going to be the first NFTs that are going to be hung in the New York Stock Exchange. So for me, I was like, wow, that's going to be groundbreaking when that happens. But also there's this trajectory that they will be working with retailers in the future to try and get their Boss Beauties, put on merchandise in certain retailers, and the people that own that IP will essentially earn a residual fee from that as well, just by that kind of stuff is what you look for within a roadmap and a community, as well as the solidity of the team itself behind it, so that you can really, it starts with the art. It's a bonus that the art looks nice, right? It's actually so much more than this.
It certainly can be. It certainly can be. But I have to say, unfortunately, if the art's no good though, then I don't know. I don't know about the rest of the project. No offense.
I just look at something like the Cool Cats, right? And kind of
they're
go,
cute. They're cute. Look, maybe, like my daughter saw a cool cat and she goes, "What? I could have drawn that." And but did you? But did you?
Yeah,
You didn't. And they're super cute. They're super appealing, and we're seeing this kind of catch on. Also, Cool Cats was one of the early projects that took off, and so they have that kind of OG status where and they've been building, and they have a lot of cool things going on. I don't have a Cool Cat, unfortunately, but a number of my friends did, and it's been awesome seeing them rocket to success. Like when we're talking about profile pictures, this is your face, okay? I don't think anybody wants to be represented by low quality, ugly looking art. Look, I'm just going to put it out there, right? Like you can't rush that part of the process, because people see the formula, they want to make the money, and so they rush the art because they want to get to the finish line, but they're shooting themselves in the foot. If it's ugly, I don't want it.
Let me question you on that, right? So there is one project that I actually think turns that on its head. I was going to mention VeeFriends, right? Because the art, Gary Vee, I feel like almost made a point of doing little sketches like on the back of a Post-it note and minting those, because his concept is it's so much more than just that picture. It's what I'm going to give you beyond that.
I tore into Gary Vee very early in my NFT Twitter career. When he announced VeeFriends, when I saw the art, when I heard about the project, I wrote a scathing reply to Gary Vee about how disappointed I was, and he posted a video reply to me. It was full of grace and humility, and he was just like, I'm really sorry you feel that way, man, and I'm doing my best. And it was such a graceful reply that I felt bad for saying anything to begin with. Obviously, I was very wrong in the long term, but I felt like I had valid criticisms of the project then, and we could talk about it now. Yeah, the art is low quality. Honestly, I'm still upset with Gary Vee. He wants it to be about him and his characters and his IP, when there are hundreds of thousands of incredibly talented artists who have poured their heart and soul into creating original characters and original artworks that actually look good, right? And he's going to say that his little sketches and doodles are like better or more valuable. I don't know. For me, it's offensive to the art world. Those didn't sell because of the art. They sold because of the artist, and not because he's a famous artist, but because he's Gary Vee. Actually, I want to say, I said the Bored Apes did it first, but actually Gary Vee did it first. He created the first access tokens. The VeeFriends Club. Okay, I don't give him enough credit. And then again, I was very wrong about him and his project. I can say that publicly, but not about the art. I think the art still could have been better. I think he should have worked with somebody to create something that was really cool. The utility is the conferences, and certain tokens have, video access. Certain tokens have access to like smaller clubs, and they do different things. And of course, the draw is all around the personality of Gary Vee and what he can offer. That's utility, that's value. I don't see a lot of people offering personal access like Gary Vee. People want to sell the club, but they don't want to put their personal professional reputations on the line.
So if someone is like, I'm going to be in this space for as long as this space exists, so I'm going to pass this on to grandkids, right?
Yeah.
And it's clarity, and those are the projects that are going to ride the wave of the bear cycle and come out, shining the other end as well. Like they don't have to be a Bored Ape. They just have to have that long-term vision.
That's what it comes down to, is how many hours are you putting into the project? How many hours is the team putting into the project? I find it hard to believe that if you're putting hundreds of hours of investment into something that you really care about, that it's going to fail, unless it's just a bad idea to begin with, or there's something going wrong with execution. Like hard work and investment pays off, right? And we want to see that in this space with NFTs and ICOs in 2017, which I was telling you earlier, I kind of see a corollary there. You're paying for the promise, you're paying for the dream. And so there's not always a lot to show at first, and so it's hard to decide. You have to be the one who's making those judgments. And that's why, again, I think that it's important that if you're buying into a project, they are doing something different and unique in the space that allows them to carve something out for themselves. If it's just, look, we can name it all right now: passive income token, DAO, community wallet, comic, like there's a bunch of buzzwords, right? And people think you can just throw them all on a roadmap and sell out a project and make a couple $1 million. I think that we have to be more discerning as buyers, to see through the buzzwords and see what's behind that, and what are they doing differently. It's all about something different. Somebody came up with those ideas first, right? And then other projects imitated that. And so, really, if you want to get ahead in the NFT space, it's trying to see what the next trend will be.
I was just wanting to give clarity for any of our audience who's watching today, who are probably not very au fait with the crypto space and don't necessarily understand the term ICO.
Right. Okay. So ICO stands for Initial Coin Offering, and it was a very popular way of releasing a cryptocurrency project and a new coin back in 2016 into 2017. It is the way a lot of projects launched, and what you would have is a coin with some kind of utility, be it identity or like Civic had like it was all about identity. Golem GNT was all about combining the computing power of all these different GPUs together, kind of like Ethereum does, but on a different scale. All of these projects started with an ICO, and that was when you could buy a certain quantity of their coin for the very first time in exchange for Ethereum. And when these ICOs launched, all there is a white paper, some hype, some media, some public presence, right? And a white paper. It's all a promise, you know what I mean, with no real meat on the bones. And this became insanely popular. People were making 10, 100, 1,000x on ICOs. And so all of a sudden it turned into a frenzy where you heard about 1 to 5 ICOs every week. Now all of a sudden it seems like there's 20, 50, 100 ICOs launching every week, and the speculation has become so intense that there's no real project here. There's no real like meat and bones, except for the popular ones, passive income and staking. God, it's such a red flag. Does anybody remember BitConnect? Okay, BitConnect promised a daily percentage return on your investment. It was a giant Ponzi scheme and got kind of shut down. But people bought it because they wanted to believe that there was some way for them to just keep receiving money. You know what I mean? Passively. And you can't actually. Money doesn't just come from nowhere. Value has to come from somewhere. And so what ended up happening at the end of 2017 is regulatory agencies came down and they shut down a lot of these ICOs that were actually illegal securities, because they were promising return on investment. They were promising income. You can't launch a product and tell somebody that if you buy my coin, I guarantee you're going to make 100% return every year. People were jumping into ICO coins with reckless enthusiasm, hoping to make a quick 10, 100 to 1,000x returns. And I see corollaries here with the profile picture projects, where there are now so many projects launching, and people are just kind of gambling. They're just, all right, I'll mint some of this, I'll mint some of that, whatever I can get access to, I'm going to try and mint it, because it's kind of like a scratch off ticket. It's a lottery. Maybe I'll get something rare. Maybe this will be the next Cool Cats. We have to do better as investors, as people with limited resources. We have to do better than buying things just because we think they'll be worth more. At the end of the day, nobody's going to care about your sob story. We'll all feel bad for you when you lose your money, but you are personally responsible for all your decisions.
Wariness is really important in this space. And I think we are, like I say, like everyone thought there'd be a bit of a bear cycle, and then suddenly we're still on the bull run, and it's keep going and it keeps going. And at some point it is going to pop. And I think what we should look at now is kind of what happens when that happens, right?
Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about this. I see 3 scenarios specifically. NFTs love it when ETH is going sideways. When Ethereum has a consistent value, it allows people to consistently evaluate things in their ETH price. It's not so much speculation. And so NFTs really favor ETH going sideways in value, okay, like being stable. If Ethereum suddenly jumps up in value, it could double, right? Let's say if it doubles. Are all NFTs going to suddenly be worth double? Will they all maintain their Ethereum evaluation? This is a really hard question we have to ask ourselves, because I think the answer is no. That if a Bored Ape is worth 40 Ethereum right now, if ETH were to go to 10K overnight, Bored Apes aren't all still going to be worth 40K, or sorry, 40 ETH. There will be somewhere in the middle while the price discovers itself again. NFTs are an asset that we are leveraging our ETH in, okay? And that means that, so if ETH goes up, I think the value in ETH of most NFTs across the board goes down. We've already seen this happen in the last pump with Ethereum, okay? Now, if ETH dumps, a bunch of people get scared and everybody starts listing their stuff. People are going to realize how little liquidity there is. If everybody's buying, it feels like, oh, I can sell this really easily. But if everybody's trying to sell at the same time, you'll see undercutting on the floors. You'll see loss of confidence in the market. And now all of a sudden, nobody wants to buy your mutant pony racer for any amount of money. It is because at the end of the day, if everybody's trying to sell their stuff at the same time, you're going to find that nobody actually wants to buy it. And that's going to be scary. And so you'll see a lot of projects race to the bottom in that regard. But for the projects that do have value, for the fine arts artists and the ones that do have legs, if ETH crashes, you will see their ETH value skyrocket. So if a piece of fine art, let's say a fine arts photography guy, and he sells his art for about $3,000 per unique photo, right? Well, he's going to want $3,000 for that, whether ETH is $500 or whether ETH is $5,000. Okay, so now these same people are going to be able to ask and receive more Ethereum for their NFTs.
It sounds like I know where you're hedging your bets. You're going down the fine art route. You're gonna
fine art and blue chip PFPs. I like of course, I'm partial to Junkyard Dogs. I'm on the project. I know Junkyard Dogs. I'm personally putting in dozens of hours weekly on it, as well, and the rest of the team. And so I know the project has legs. But outside of that, I like the profile picture projects with a strong artist presence. Okay, so that's like Pablo Stanley's Robotos. He's not going to abandon Robotos ever. That is his project forever. Pablo Stanley has like 80,000 followers on Twitter. You know what I mean? Like, that project is going to grow with him, with his career. He's going to keep promoting it. I really like Kid 8 and the G-Vols. Kid 8 was an artist who I noticed in the very beginning stages of my NFT career, and the fact that he came out with the collection, and you can see the floor on his previous collection, and commitment to art and his commitment to the NFT space, I feel confident that G-Vols is going to continue and have legs. The Bored Ape Yacht Club, this is already blue chip. They're not going anywhere. It's a safe bet, as far as safe bets can be anyway. And then we have the fine art. I am a big fan of fine art artists. I feel like it doesn't get talked about enough on Twitter. If you go look at Dot Pigeon, for example, I think he's got a sale at Christie's or Sotheby's. Anyway, Dot Pigeon is an amazing blue chip artist that's coming out. If you look at the floor on his pieces, they're so high. His editions of 30 and 35, they're all around a 5,000 or higher floor, because the collectors hold on to it. And so what you'll see is not a lot of art gets sold at that level, but it does change hands. And so the volume is lower. But it does change hands, and so there is value there. There's real collectors, people who are really invested in this person's career, and you can know it's going to grow long term. Any NFT artist that goes to Sotheby's or Christie's, okay, I would look very closely at their work and see if there's anything that you can afford, especially if they're young and early on in their career, like Ferocious. Okay,
I was just about to say Ferocious. Yeah,
they have legs. It's gonna go far, and their personality is awesome. I don't have any of Ferocious's work. I really wish that I did, but I've been seeing him on Twitter lately, and his personality and charm, it's just magnetic. You can see
he's 18.
Yeah. Oh my God, and his eyes are just full of life and inspiration. I love it. I can't get enough of his lives and his videos. But he's 18. Okay, yeah, he's already selling at Sotheby's. I mean, buy this guy's work, okay? Crypto winter or not, he's going far. He's going far. I just want to share something with the people. I drew a really complicated graph for the people at home. Okay, this is where you want to buy into the project. When you see this happen, don't buy. This space is so emotional, okay? It's so psychological. People don't understand that it's this FOMO, this fear of missing out. I'm speaking from experience. I'm not a genius person. I'm just a fool who's made mistakes and wants to educate others, by that. You can't chase the pumps. They almost always, I'd say always, peter off. All right. Now, maybe it won't retrace to its previous levels, but if you see something shoot straight up, just give it a little time and then buy back in there. You don't want to buy the top at anything ever. 100%.
Good.
100%. People like to compare NFTs or Bitcoin even to the tulip industry. Okay. Yeah. Tulips blew up and it was a huge bubble, but tulips sell $8 billion worth of supplies in a 6-week period every year. Tulips didn't go anywhere. NFTs are not going anywhere.
The technology that underpins them will not underpins.
It's not going anywhere. It's revolutionizing everything. You can sell your efforts in a brand new way and make contractual agreements with people, your buyers, and provide value and community connection with NFTs in such a brand new way. I cannot see it going anywhere. And right now we have the traditional art world is slowly waking up to NFTs, but I cannot imagine. I saw this artist. I just want to close it out with this. I saw this artist a couple days ago. He's a non-NFT artist, and he made this big grand statement. Everybody's been bothering me to create NFTs of my artwork, and I want to make it clear that I will never make NFTs of my artwork. Making a full-time living off of selling your art and being able to benefit off of those royalties for not only yourself and your children and your children's children for the rest of eternity. That sounds like a terrible bargain. It's going to change everything, especially for artists and creators. I think it's changing the dynamic in which we interact. For anybody out there who's thinking to do an NFT project right now, you have to look towards the future. Okay, Web 3.0. We have lots and lots and lots of tribes. We have lots and lots of citizens. You can pick 1,000 different avatars to represent you. I believe the future is going to be about bringing those people together. Okay, we have the citizens. Now, what can they do? Where can they go? Where will they congregate? We've built the tribes. Now the next session is going to be about building the cities, and the activities for those people to do. And so I implore people to always think towards the future, always try to do something that hasn't been done, because I have $3 million ideas every day, I swear. And if I had unlimited resources, I would be just completely dominating the space. But it's just ideas. There's so much that hasn't been done. You don't have to copy other people. So thank you, Beck.
Pleasure. And as I did call you this before, and I think I'm going to call you this to close this out. You are the oracle. You are giving us that knowledge. So on that note, thank you so much, Chef. Wow. So I think the future is bright. I'm pretty sure it is. And I think you guys think that too. So you know what? We're still early. Now is the time to get yourself fully immersed in this incredible technology. And yeah, hopefully that will pay off dividends in the future if you make the right choices. Now, if you enjoyed this video, then thank you so much for tuning in. If you actually enjoyed listening to Chef Dizzy, I'd say check him out on this video as well, because he gives so many incredible insights onto the world of NFT community building. Plus, we've got other brilliant videos for you guys to check out as well, so stay tuned. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.